almost. It's so weird. That's perfect. So we're here today with, you want to state your name?
Yeah, my name is Jess Alighieri. Do you want me in the shot?
No,
Okay.
you can or you can't.
Okay.
So, all right, let's go ahead and get going. So just to start off, how do you define management, and what has influenced or informed like your definition that you've come up with?
I don't know if it's the correct definition, but
There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
It's up to you.
management is really the ability to the ability to I would say problem solve, staffing, resource, and service issues on the fly.
Okay.
And being able to direct team members on how to appropriately allocate resources, time, and money to solve these problems so the business can continue to not only function but thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to like kind of expand upon that a little bit more, I know this morning you guys were like having some trouble.
Yeah, we had some
just
pretty
like
big trouble.
how basically like how did you kind of as a manager go about navigating that situation, and like how were you able to like plan, organize, and kind of like lead your team out there and
Yeah.
handle it?
Well, I'll be honest. Today, I felt very haphazard in not only what was breaking and falling apart, but also how to allocate the team, how to allocate my personal resources, and also time. Sometimes it's very much by the seat of your pants. It's like for example this morning, just random things just kept breaking, and they were big things that we really needed to have in order to do our jobs for the morning. So my approach was kind of like, how would you say? It's almost like when the levee breaks. At first you're just kind of like trying to find ways to stop the water from overflowing, and then you're like, okay, now that I got the water stopped, now I can actually process, and figure out how to fix it. So this morning when you came in, it was right in the middle of the levee, the proverbial levee breaking. Ideally, if I'm doing my job correctly, things shouldn't break so quickly all at once like that. Ideally, there's appropriate maintenance allocated to certain machines and things like that. Though the last few months it's been a little challenging in doing that. So.
I know, and I definitely would say that there are some challenges, with any business, especially when you're leading or in like a management position such as yourself. So, let's see. I don't want to get into that question just yet. So let me jump around just a little bit.
Sure.
So, what would you say is the most difficult thing about leading?
I would say, for me, it's been the juggling effect. Some days you juggle more than others. And oftentimes, with those days, you'll find you'll have just ball after ball after ball going up into the air. And sometimes it's really hard to keep track of all of those balls up in the air. So I think for me personally, that can be a little bit challenging. And I think you, unfortunately, were, part of that this morning. Not your fault, I'm sorry.
Totally.
But yeah, I think that is definitely a daily challenge that I face, and something that I'm hoping to understand better.
For sure. So, as a manager, what are your personal skills or traits upon which you think you depend upon the most? So, that you always find yourself using in the day-to-day work that you do?
That's a good question. I think my interpersonal skills are my strongest ones. So, the customer service aspect, and also with team leading. So I'm not really a team leader that dictates. I like to work with the team members and ask them to do things in a polite way so that they feel like they have a choice in the matter. So they're not feeling like I should be bossing you around. So I think my interpersonal skills are probably my strongest ones for sure.
Absolutely, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned leading teams and whatnot, good. Another question is, what issues kind of come up in leading teams versus like motivating individuals? So like,
what issues come up in leading teams? I'd say I'd probably see more issues if I did have a little bit more of a crass edge to my approach. But I'm the kind of person that I probably spend too much time trying to be polite in some people's eyes.
Yeah.
But I think that it actually works to my advantage because I have a large team. They're very diverse people. Everyone in here is from different backgrounds and all this stuff from all over the country. And actually all over the world, too. We have people who are not even, born in America. They immigrated here.
Of course.
So I think, taking the extra time to be polite and be gentle in my approach, I think pays off. Motivating individual staff members, though, I think that takes a little bit more experience. And I'm still kind of early on in my managerial experience here. I've only been here like 9 months as a manager.
Yeah.
I think so far I've figured that you have to kind of you have to approach it with a really fine line kind of mindset.
Of course.
You want to inspire and motivate, but you also want to be able to maintain healthy boundaries for the whole team.
Yeah.
So approaching an individual, you have to kind of try and find out, where are they struggling, where are they strong at, and then kind of help them to like navigate in between there. So my boss tells me a lot of times when you give critiques, you need to do it in like a sandwich formation. Give them a compliment, the critique, and then another compliment. So you continuously show them their value, but then in between showing the value, you can say, all right, this is the area that you need to work on a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also try and give them examples of how maybe they could fix that. So don't just throw problems at people, try to help them find solutions that would be beneficial for them and reasonable for them to accomplish. So it requires a lot of communication.
Great. Let's see. So, what role would you say, if any, do like your personal values and kind of like your ethics play in like your management effectiveness?
Oh, that's a good question. I was just thinking about that the other day. I would consider myself to be like a really liberal, open-minded person.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the values that I am really passionate about is like not telling anyone really how they should live their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Letting anyone be as they are.
Yeah.
And so when I approach my team, I'm not trying to approach them as in you have to change your personality type to be here. No, you come as you are. There are certain standards that we have to uphold. Like, for example, when we're behind the bar, we can't talk politics.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my staff, like, I am probably right there with you and agreeing with what you're saying, but you can't say it behind the bar. On your break, go talk about it as much as you want in the back hall, but there are boundaries, So I really appreciate the beauty in my staff. I feel like I have a very beautiful staff. Everyone is so different, and they all bring like very unique senses of humor, unique perspectives of life, life histories, all this stuff, and they are very loving, compassionate people. So one of my personal goals is, to be a loving, compassionate person. So I feel like I just keep trying to emphasize that on the day-to-day basis, and I see the return. I see a lot of people also finding it easy to invest in each other from that foundation, and I think it's working out well.
It's awesome. It's really good.
I hope that answers your
question. No, that was perfect. So, let's see. So, how do you think that, wow, I didn't know this question on the list. How do you think that management effectiveness develops with experience?
How do I think management effectiveness develops with experience?
That's a weird question. I didn't know that.
Wow, that's... Yeah. Okay, so I say this as an inexperienced manager.
Yeah.
So, come back and ask me about this in a year, and we'll see what I say. But I would say that in the beginning, I would get flustered really easily, and I had a very hard time delegating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought I had to lead by example, which I think is somewhat true, but I think I was taking it way too literally. You know, like I literally did everything, and I was kind of starting to become really crabby. You know, like I just wasn't friendly. I had like a nasty expression on my face all the time. But then with experience, I started to realize, like, oh yeah, another part of managing is delegating, and it's sometimes requires being seen as the bad guy. You know, like sometimes the bathroom needs to be cleaned, and I had to tell someone to do it. That doesn't mean I haven't personally cleaned it. You know, it's just I'm the manager. I can tell someone else to do it now.
Yeah.
Because I do have other important things I have to do. So I started delegating more, and I started to feel less under the wire, you know, less stressed out. You know, I could smile more, I could laugh more with my team.
Yeah.
And I was becoming more and more effective at ordering inventories, scheduling people, doing payroll in an adequate amount of time. You know, like all the administrative stuff that I was also struggling with in the beginning. I was starting to fine-tune, and we were seeing less problems leach out onto the team. So, like, if I'm not adequately doing the schedule or payroll, people aren't going to like the schedule that they get, and they're not going to get their paychecks. So, I started to see myself do better on those things, but it took a while, so.
Absolutely. So, I'm going to get into a little bit more of, like, a focus on some of the topics that we were discussing, like, in our coursework. So, the four kind of key areas that we're emphasizing are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. I want to go ahead and give you something, just like an idea of what you're looking at. So, these are kind of how we define those topics here, if you want to take a look at that for a second. And so, while you're looking at those, the question that I want you to think about is, just kind of think about some of the experiences you've had related to planning, leading, organizing, and controlling. And then the question I have for you is, how has working in this industry really shaped your experience in these four areas?
Okay. Can you repeat the first part again, just for me? I got the last part, but not the first part.
Just thinking about some of your experiences
in these four
with regards to planning, organizing.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to grab a whole mouth. Sure. I would say, kind of piggybacking off of my last comment about learning how to delegate and things like that, I noticed too when I started taking more time to communicate what the bigger picture was to my staff, it was much easier for them to take the lead on things, and I didn't really have to delegate as much. I could tell them, okay, here's the big picture for today, here's the big picture for the week, and so things became, I could see them take more autonomy over things. And I think too, like, we work as a team, and we work adamantly to create a structure where hierarchy isn't the primary focus. It's more like we're all in the trenches together, we're working this out, but when problems do arise, here's the hierarchy, and this is how you communicate those needs to whomever is on top. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. So let me
Where am I going with
Let me dive a little bit more deeper. So trust me, like, this one is one that, like, we definitely have to expand upon, right?
No problem.
Very vague. But
thank you.
So let's
live long and prosper. Sorry.
No, absolutely. So let's get into a little bit more about, like, controlling. So with regards, when we say controlling, of course we mean, like, just, like, basically a situation, like, how you measure how much you've done to achieve your goals, or how close or how far away you are from your goals and stuff like that.
Like, so quantifiable.
Yeah, quantifying, where you are versus where you want to be. So,
that's a good question.
can you just talk about how, you go about doing that? And,
Yeah, well, when I first took on this position, do you mind if I contact you later, first off?
Yes, I just want to make sure you're all set. You don't need
Yes,
to reach sorry.
No, absolutely, please.
Perfect. I'll contact you later. Thank you.
You got it.
When I first started this position, I was requested by my employer to do a pro forma. So I just basically did I did research on the cafe and the statistics, who's buying what, when do they buy it, when do we see spikes, and what parts of the cafe can we change at little to no cost to improve basically the demand, supply and the demand. So we moved some things around. We changed some processes. Like, for example, when people order food to go, for a long time, it was just served in a box, and nobody gave the customers any napkins or paper bags or any utensils. So there would be bottlenecks in places. There would be customers clustering around the condiment bar because they were all trying to get these different things, and it was wasting time, and people were getting caught.
Yeah.
So I started changing little things like that, and I've personally seen, and we also have this point of sale system called Square, and so it monitors a lot of our sales. And we've already done 14% more in sales over the last year since I've been here. So to me, one, that's a good thing. My goal is 20% for the whole year. So I'm almost there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're seeing people not get clustered as much. It's a little bit more open getting in and out. There are still some bottlenecks here and there that we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But that's going to cost more money because we're going to have to reinvest in layout, tables, seating, that sort of thing.
And that's actually quite interesting because I've been doing a couple other interviews at a lot of different coffee shops, and a lot of the times I've never heard at least thus far. I still have one more to do after this, but haven't heard thus far until now that it's you kind of take a more analytical approach to it. So you do the more calculations. You said you did pro forma and just you also use Square, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
To kind of make that goal really that's a really quantifiable goal. Versus
really want to know if I'm doing well.
Versus the overarching goals. Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you.
So these are gonna be more just again overarching questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I would say let's start with this. What is your greatest accomplishment or success you've experienced as a manager, and why? There's been a couple of really good ones. I think one was recently, one of my peers had said a really nice thing about me to another peer, and who's a mutual friend, and they had said something along the lines of that I'm very organized and very detail oriented, and that they can really trust me to train people well. Because I like to make things like standard operating procedures, and I like to, I kind of feel like the devil really is in the details, and I think that especially since Kupal is growing so fast and so quick, that if we don't standardize as much as we can, we're going to lose a lot of money, and lose a lot of time and a lot of really great customers. We have the best customers in Syracuse, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's true. Our customers are super patient people. They're very giving, they always tip us well, and they're always very understanding, but they can really only do that for so long, and rightfully so. You don't want to take advantage, and when a company is getting so big, you don't want to keep encountering the same problems in every single cafe, because then that's going to deter you from coming back. Yeah.
So I think that creating a standard operating procedure, which I'm currently in the process of doing, and just receiving, the praise from peers in regards to it has been a really big moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the right path. Cool.
Absolutely. So,
Yes.
reversing that question.
What was my biggest failure?
What is your worst mistake or failure you've experienced as a manager and why?
I think it was when I lost an employee because I had, in the beginning, lost control of my emotions.
Mm.
You know, I was stressed out, not delegating, and it was kind of like a day like today. You know, everything was going wrong, and there's like a line out the door most of the day.
Yeah.
You know, things add up, and I wasn't doing enough self-care.
Okay.
So I lashed out at this person, and they were like, "Peace."
Yeah. Okay.
And rightfully so. It was wrong. So, yeah.
Okay. And so, all in all, with all of those things, in mind, what do you do differently now that reflects these experiences?
I take better care of myself. I try to remember, like, this is just a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the roof literally collapses, first you get people out, then you call the boss.
Mm-hmm.
There's like stuff that needs to happen. There are certain steps that need to happen, and then I can take a moment and let it out.
Yeah.
But there is a time and a place to let it out.
Yeah.
And just like being gentle and kind with myself and with my staff. When I see other people starting to get emotional, it's like pulling them aside and saying, it's okay if you want to go step in the back, let it out, cry it out, scream it out, whatever you got to do. Go do it. It's totally okay. Just giving people the space to be emotional. We're human beings. We're emotional.
Absolutely.
But, remembering particularly where it's appropriate to direct it. You can't just let it out whenever at whoever. That's not okay. Sorry.
And it's actually pretty cool, because I don't know, you should just realize it, but you just tied in, basically how you kind of, you learn from, your failure, but then you also, use the skills that you're using with, a part of your greatest accomplishment, kind of like a standard operating procedure. So, you say, you do the steps to get people out of the store, and then that's when you learn to let it out, so that's really awesome.
Thank you.
So, yeah, just a few more questions.
Yeah, right on. I'm really enjoying this, by the way. This is helping me.
Let's see, which one's having a touch? Okay, so
understand some stuff.
Who are your most important social resources or persons you network with, and why?
I would say my employer is probably the person that I rely on the most when I'm in that moment of I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
And he's a really great. I always feel so cheesy saying this because it sounds like I'm. What's the word? Trying to be teacher's pet.
Brown.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. But it's true. He's one of my favorite bosses of all time. I've worked for a lot of different people. I've been in the workforce since I was 14. Okay. So it's long history of employers. And I think he's the one that I respect the most because of his ability to listen, his ability to humbly accept when he was wrong.
Yeah.
He doesn't always have to be right, and you can literally call him out on something, and he'll be like, yep, you're right, that was wrong, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That takes a lot, especially from a boss, So he's number one that I rely on the most. And then secondly, kind of more on a personal level, I talk to my sister a lot because she, for one, I really admire her, and two, she has a master's in urban planning, so she's been in management experiences a lot, and she usually has a really level-headed, super honest approach. She doesn't really sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah.
She's super, super right on point. So I know I can get the truth from her,
For sure.
So you gotta have people who can tell you straight
up. Yeah, right on. So let's see. Do you think that management in your industry is different from, or of course, involves different pressures and skills in management in other industries? Or do you think there are some parallels between all industries?
I think there are distinct parallels. I think in every industry, if you're working under a capitalist system, you're going to want to basically maintain cost structures. You don't want to be overspending in payroll or, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like resource management, and a part of that is human resource management. So yeah, I think there are definitely fundamentally similar things. But I think, again, the devil's in the details. When you go from one industry to the next, service versus whatever, like IT stuff. I mean, what they're doing and how they're doing it and the knowledge they need to have is very, very different than what we do here.
Yeah.
So I think you can find similarities. But...
Great. And so, just one more question.
Sure.
So the last question. What advice would you offer others who are trying to develop their management effectiveness? And then the second part of that is, what advice do you wish you'd been given when you became a manager?
Hold on to your hat. Yeah, actually, I just had the privilege of helping a colleague transition into a promotion. So she had been assistant manager, and now she's managing another cafe. So I was kind of giving her all of my resources that I use, for every task that I do. And then at the end, I was like, listen, for the first month and a half, it's going to be really crazy.
Yeah.
You're just you're going to be working every day, and it's going to be really hard. But don't forget to delegate, and don't forget to give yourself space to breathe.
Yeah.
You really need it, so know when to say when. And I think that is one thing that I wish I had heard a little bit more. I know some people probably tried to tell me at the time, maybe I couldn't hear it. Maybe that's one thing I wish I could have heard.
Just double checking. Let's see. No, I think I missed it. All right.
Thank you so much. That was really